the great things about a landscape is you can do really whatever you want to with it. And there is so much interest in the edible landscape that we thought we'd focus a little bit on the woody plant material that you can use in place of plants that don't allow you something to eat. Of course, vegetables are not woody plants, so we're not going there today. And we might talk just a little bit about plants like asparagus and horseradish, because those are perennial in the landscape. But more importantly, think about trees and shrubs that are going to give you the structure, the form, the shade, attract wildlife, if you want that wildlife to graze on your landscape, give you all of the elements that we really talk about when we talk about designing a landscape. So you could start, if you're not allergic to the tree nuts, with Hearty Pecans. We have northern selections. They are an absolutely spectacular landscape tree. Tall, solid, they need very, very little care once established, especially if you get the right varieties or cultivars. The shrubs give you another opportunity, and many, many shrubs offer us with multiple sorts of ways to use them as food. Let's start with hazelnut or hazel. We have American hazelnut, which is native. It's a suckering shrub. The hazelnuts are small. They're very edible. They're not the hazelnuts that we buy in the grocery store. That is a European or a hybrid selection, but they are quite tasty, again, if you can get them before the squirrels do. More importantly, it is really a lovely shrub, and it's a pretty tough shrub. It'll form a little colony. The seeds themselves are in this funky looking sort of fringed, bracted little, it's called an involucre. So here they sit, and then we do get some good fall color. As importantly, right now in very, very early spring, they are starting to do their flowering. And the male flowers are this beautiful dangling fringe that is yellow. So in the breeze, you see this great dangling fringe of catkin. Of course, the early pollinators absolutely love it. We have another little sort of tall shrub, small tree, suckering thicket former, which is pawpaw, again a native. To me, this gives a fabulous tropical appearance in the landscape because the leaves are sort of this spatulate or egg shape. The flowers hang down. They're a really odd color, and there's a reason for that because they attract a certain pollinating fly, and they look a little bit like dead meat. Pawpaw itself is an acquired taste, but they are certainly something that is edible. One of my absolute favorite large shrubs, small tree for edible landscape and for the landscape itself is Cornelian Cherry. This is a dogwood. It's not your everyday old red twig dogwood, though. It has, with age, beautiful bark that sort of exfoliates and shreds and looks a little like camouflage. It will also form a beautiful rounded form, maybe 15 feet up, 15 feet across over time. It flowers extremely early, but not so early, and it's so tough, those flowers really rarely, if ever, freeze off, and they're yellow. So this is a time of year when yellow in the landscape on a shrub is absolutely lovely, followed by something that is as red as my shirt that you can eat. The Cornelian cherries are edible. There is also a vertical form of that for smaller spaces. You can purchase cultivars of that one also that give you either bigger fruit, different flavors. And you'll notice I have not talked much about blueberries for really a good reason. They're a little tricky in the landscape because of their need for acid soil. A great shrub if you are willing to do the work. I think most importantly with woody plant materials that you want for edibility, think in terms of replacing some other plant in your landscape with a specific requirement or a specific need with something that provides you with an edible object off the plant.